What's going on? Another dreadful video. Dreadful Rick here, and this is going to be another contest entry. It's kind of a mild one. It's for Kim from This Is Music. So he already did a contest earlier this year, which I entered. So I decided to give another crack at it. So this is just going to be a what you call a languages contest. So show anything that's not in English from your collection, and he will be giving away, I believe, our Japanese bands, some CDs. I don't remember the names of the actual albums off the top of my head, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to just show support for his channel and just partake in the fun. Several people have hopped in on this and kind of just showed what they had. Some people showed one album, some people showed several. Mark at Wandering Souls webzine, looking at you. He pulled quite a number of them. So, you know, Christian Osario, another one, several of you guys out there. So I'm drinking some Liquid Death on this warm June, late June, may I add. So summertime, as you know, this part of the world. Sorry, Australia. So I've never actually tasted this. So 3% sugar, so it's not too bad. If I'm gonna try and keep my Barbie doll figure here, I gotta watch my percentages here. So let's see what this thing tastes like. Just little hints of melon. It's not doesn't really taste sweet or anything. But then again, it's just 3% sugar, according to this. Can't always trust what you see in these things. So yeah, let's get on with it. So again, we could have pulled just one, but I'm gonna show one, two, three, five. I guess five albums that are not in English. That was the criteria for the contest. So the stuff he's giving away, the CDs, like I mentioned, Japanese, not English. So kind of going along with this system. So let's see. One, it's a recommendation from a little while back. Yeah, you may know him in the comments as Human Falafel. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he did send this recommendation my way. Uh, I think back in 2021. I don't know if it was 2020. I think it was 2021. And this is a band from Argentina. So he says he knows these guys, so they're his friends. So that's cool. So they put out, looks like a couple EPs or demos, and then they put out this full length. So this is Tumba de Carne. And it is Dicateris Perpetual Altar. Yeah. So let me pull it out of this case. Go. Apparently the glare, it's not being very friendly. Look at that. Cool logo. So it's just a bunch of lyrics and stuff. Again, it's all in Spanish. So what is it? This is it's too easy to just say this is a death cry band because there's actually a lot more substance to this. They're actually quite dissonant. I'm not used to this kind of thing. I don't have a lot of this kind of stuff in my collection. It's very it's very grindy. Uh, the production's quite spacey, but yet dirty. It's quite dissonant, actually. It's like, imagine if a band like Ulcerate or Deathspell kind of went the more dirty, blackened, grindy death route. This is kind of what you'd get. So I'm actually looking quite forward to see what their next thing is, because though this is 5 tracks, it's quite dark and there's quite a bit of talent here. So thank you, Human Falafel. So I did like this, and so it's on the Bandcamp. They still have CD copies. So it's Tumba de Carne. Yeah. And here we have some thrash, speed thrash, I guess you could say. So this is a band out of Poland, and they're called Destroyers. So these guys are actually quite old school. They formed in the 80s, mid 80s. And I think right around the time Overkill, maybe just a little bit after, bands like Overkill, some of those Bay Area bands were already kind of thriving. And so this again, Destroyers, and you could say this is their comeback album. So this is I'm not even going to pronounce it. Again, I'll just leave the names here so you can see it for yourself and Google Translate it, whatever. So when I say comeback album, so these guys got together. They managed to release two full lengths in the late 80s, early 90s, and then it kind of just vanished. So lo and behold, back in 2020, 2021, something like that, they come out with this. And you know what? It's like these guys, after their second album, it's like they never lost time. So it sounds like pretty much something from that time period. So if you guys like that old school speed thrash, this is it. So let me pull this booklet out. So here they are. Now I like how they have the tombstones. This is where the credits are. It's got their name. It's got their name, and they're placed in the band. So vocals, guitars, drums, even back here. You can't read it that well back here because I don't know. I guess it didn't reproduce as well as maybe they thought it would have. But cool shit. So I would say these guys are kind of like take a little bit of the speed metal element, like I don't know, bands like Cat, right? KAT. Mix it with some God, I'm trying to think of a band. Think of Exhumer. So it is a lot of Exhumer worship on this, and so by then, like Possessed by Fire was already out. It's funny because as I'm recording this, the heavy metallurgy guys are doing their album club and they're talking about Exhumer. So that's been on my mind lately. So this does come, despite these guys being from Poland, and so it's got a little bit of the Exhumer sound, Cat, with some elements of the Bay Area. So I'm Overkill comes to mind right away. So I think of the vocalist sounds like Bobby Blitz at times. He's got that hey kind of register. So if you like that kind of thing, again, these guys don't shy away from that. There are even moments where like there's some high register vocals. It sounds almost female in a way. But it's done in such a way where it works with the music. The production kind of reminds me of it's so old school. It reminds me of Master of Puppets. I guess they were going for that sound. And the crazy thing about this band is I like how they have the little guy in the middle of the logo there, just hanging out. Hey man, I care about details like that. So, like I was saying, the crazy thing is there's two bass players credited on this. So I don't know if they play simultaneous or if they just take their turns on songs. So it doesn't seem to hurt the production at all. So it's very unusual. I have heard of bands with two drummers. Well, vocals, of course, as always, and guitars. Guitars and vocals is where you see the doubles usually with these things, but not usually with bass. Very rare in drums. But it's interesting how they went that route with this. The fact that they have two basses is like a giant fu to and Justice for All, considering NABA has like no bass. Sorry, Jason. Yeah, they shaft you on that one. Next up, so we have I showed you a Spanish, Polish, Norwegian. So this is a folk Viking metal band that I don't feel like it's talked about enough, and their releases are quality. The thing about them is they don't have the real big special trick, I guess that made them stand out. So when you think of like Viking metal coming out of Norway, immediately you're thinking of like Enslaved, right? And Enslaved kind of took on the more progressive route, and that's of late they kind of had a more what you call digestible and accessible sound to their stuff, unlike their first releases. And I'm talking about Nifrost, Nifrost. So this is not their latest album, but the next latest album. I'm gonna say, what is it, 2018, 2017? I don't even remember. Shit, 2019. Okay, yeah. So Blykron, which I guess means heavy crown, lead crown. Could be lead crown, lead crown, lead crown. So it's cool. These guys definitely focus on the heavy. They're not about the progressive stuff like Enslaved. they're actually from the same town or from the same region of Norway as Windir. And so I would say these guys kind of take on the leanings more like a band like Vreed. So, you know, if you know Vreed formed from the ashes of Windir, they're not as experimental or as epically folk like the way Windir was. Um, but they kind of take a little bit of that middle of the road. As you know, Vreed kind of took a more of a traditional sounding style of black metal, kind of away from the windier stuff. Um, and I feel like these guys kind of took again a bit of that Reed position, but even further removed. These guys very competent, very like I said, very heavy, very rolling. This whole thing feels like an avalanche. Like you do feel like you're in that region of the world, and it's quite cold. And these guys definitely are doing some good stuff. So this is very, I guess, kind of bare bones. So nothing much I can really show with this. But yeah, definitely check it out. Nifrost, and again, us all in Norwegian, so I cannot tell you what they're saying. Next up, so I pair these two together because I feel like they're kind of related. So and I'll explain in a second. So so this is a band that's no longer active or project. So it's a fellow by the name of Olivier who kind of heads this thing, and the band out of Quebec. So this Canadian act called Shazmu, and this is their 2021 release, A Traverse Les Lambeaux. Yeah, so it's kind of vicious when you look at the cover. Yeah, you just kind of see that bird kind of eating that guy's innards. So this is a band that kind of kept a little under the radar. I don't hear many people talk about them. They did put out two EPs, and then they finally dropped this full length, and they kind of called it quits. So I know the Olivier does that Complot band now, which is kind of I guess kind of takes its place on this. I like the Shazmu thing, and I have both their other EPs in vinyl form. I don't think they ever released this on vinyl. This one right here, I wish they did, but I guess I don't see the motivation now, considering it's no longer an active project. Put out by Crucia Tour Productions, which I think are based out of France, if I'm not mistaken. And they kind of hit on that Egyptian mythology. So they're not as technical as something like Nile, you know, kind of leans on that kind of thing. These guys are more, they do have that bit of that war metal elements, but it's also more expansive, and there's some blackened kind of almost sounds almost occultish at times. So thinking of a contemporary band, it's kind of like take a band like Craven Idol, right? So Craven Idol has that nice big expansive sound, but still blackened, and their release last year was pretty good too. So take Craven Idol, mix elements of like Bolt Thrower, right, and throw it in a jar. You kind of get something like this, which is quite cool. It's also the production on this is very distorted. Like, and I think it's done on purpose. It's very cranked up to just to give it more of that messier, dirty kind of sound. So and it, again, and it has that busy like a bunch of soldiers in the field, and you know, and everybody and they're attacking. So yeah, Chasmu. So this one right here. So this is his other project. So this is his sort of black metal, folk black metal project. So he got the Death War side, um, and this is Moulin Banal. And this one, so again, all in French, all in French. Out of Quebec, not surprising. De Miseria de Angeles. Yeah, De Miseria de Angeles. Look at that. Right away, I mean, when you think of like kind of this kind of stuff coming out of Quebec, I mean, Fortress is like the big one, right? And these guys, they have a little bit of that about that formula, but they're not clones of Fortress at all. They kind of have their own sound, but you can still tell it's from that region of the world, and it does sound very cold. It's actually quite darker than something like the Fortress. It's not. They don't hit you in the face with the folk elements like the way something Fortress does, and the riffing is not as monotonous at times. They do take some liberties to throw some curveballs at you, but overall, it's a very consistent album. So Forbidden Sonority Productions put this one out. And this was, can't even remember the year. I want to say 2021, something like that, or 2020. This basically came out the same year that they put this out. Yeah, so busy year for Olivia, that's for sure. So check this out. Here's a map of Quebec. If that didn't hit home enough. So yeah, so I decided to do this sort of contest entry. Look at that. It kind of reminds me of Carpathian Forest. Just has that vibe. So yeah, so I hope that met the requirements, Kim, and then some. So yeah, just a laid back day. Decided to just turn on the camera and do this quick entry, and hopefully there's something here you guys might enjoy. Some of these I've actually have not spun in a while, so kind of looking forward to putting it back on the turntable, or in this case CD player. So I'll leave you with that, and hope you all are enjoying your summer, at least in this region of the world, and be looking out for more milestones and accomplishments, and see what else is out there. This has just been one hell of a contest year. I feel like every week there's like a new thing to enter, or whatever. I'm not going to be able to enter every single contest, so as much as want to support you guys, but it's kind of insane. This is why I like this, a little more laid back, and there's not a whole lot of homework to do, I guess you could say. So yeah, y'all keep it dreadful. Catch you later.